Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me today to unpack the latest in the mining industry. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, the ANC has called for the incentivization of investors in mining exploration. Can you just tell us about that?
Yes, it's had a very good response. The ANC document has sort of reignited interest in junior mining. And coming from the ANC, it's quite important. And they've said that people must be listing on the stock exchange and that others, retail investors particularly, should be investing in exploration companies. Now, this resonates around what happens in Canada, what happens in Australia, where you get a lot of retail investors getting involved in exploration because it's a high-risk activity and it needs to be funded. And if you have people who are investing in you that know that they can get a tax break at the end of the year for their investment, they become very keen to do that. And it's a win-win situation. And it was wonderful that the Economic Transformation Committee of the ANC could read into that and see that that is a very important way of stimulating junior mining. And we know when you stimulate junior mining, you stimulate the future, because we are a mining company with over 400 mining assets active, which is more than any other in the whole of the continent. But those deplete. It's a finite horizon for all mines, and unless you come forward with new projects, the industry declines. So I think it's a timely gesture. I hope they do tie up more with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. We need a whole new mentality around investing, where we should be investing in the real economy. We should be primary investors when we go to the stock exchange in the real economy. And this will be a way of really revitalizing our economy fairly quickly.
And tell us about the International Council on Mining and Metals convening knowledge-sharing sessions in response to the coronavirus.
There's no other industry in the world like the mining industry, because it's also got these international councils. It's the International Council on Mining and Metals represents 27 big mining companies, many of them, operating here, and some of them actually only operating here, and then also associations. So they've been calling around the world and finding out what is going on with regard to COVID. And they're picking up ideas, and then they share those ideas. And you see associations mixing with companies, and companies in the African continent working with countries in South America and Canada and Australia, and they all cross-pollinating their ideas. And it's ending up that they all seem to have consensus that when you look at that acronym ESG, which is the environment, the socio-economic and governance, which they're all pushing at the moment, they think a lot more emphasis is going to be on the S, and that's the socio-economic, that you need to actually link up with the communities. It's so important to do that. And those mining companies that had a deep relationship with the communities are now advancing very strongly within the COVID period and looking to recovery, and recovery with the people around the mine, many of whom have had food and all sorts of assistance from the mining company, but also small mining companies and small mining supplying companies. They help the mining companies. They have also been supported. So there's an atmosphere of goodwill and a readiness to now start moving ahead. But of course the E in ESG is also a big thing, and that's going to stimulate a lot of mining activity because it's environmental, and most are committed to mitigating climate change, which really boosts metals and minerals, because a lot of the things used in climate change mitigation require metals.
And lastly, Pan African has approved a 10 megawatt solar PV project at the Elikhulu operation in Mpumalanga.
Yes, and that 10 megawatt is a special number because I think there's least red tape around that sort of size of renewable energy project. That's when they can get going fast. And it seems that they have chosen that almost as if, they could be modular. You can have a 10 megawatt at Elikhulu, and I see they're already talking about looking at a solar plant in Barberton. So it might be a situation where, at every shaft you could move fast on, say, a 10 megawatt type of arrangement. But when you added everything together, it would be far more than 10 megawatts eventually. And you're getting this clean electricity, but you're getting clean electricity that is much cheaper than what you can get it for from Eskom. So it's very much a win-win. And we see a gold mining company now like Pan African, in a very strong position at the moment because their costs are so low. They do not mine at deep level. They're mining on the surface, and the gold price is rising. And so if they also get cheaper energy, which they are planning to do now at Elikhulu, which has been a very successful project, this will mean a bigger profit margin and a much better deal for the shareholders. And we saw Pan African during this COVID period go out to the community with food parcels, go out, spend millions of rands supporting the people at this time of crisis. And again, I think it's going to be an important investment because people will say, this particular industry has our interests at heart. Therefore, it's worthwhile to have a mine nearby because if anything goes wrong, you get help, and also there's an opportunity for you to set up a small business and to do something for that mine, and they are very receptive to that. So we'll look to renewable energy. Hopefully it'll be widespread, and South Africa will use its sunshine to do a lot of energizing as well as its prime wind, and adding hydrogen might even fill the whole spectrum. There are so many possibilities at the moment, and it can help the economic recovery.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.